Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am Tom Downey. Some good news. We are just less than 300 subs away from 10K here on the channel. That's more important than Alabama winning this week. It's actually not true at all, but it is still important. Help us continue to grow. Hit that sub button right now. It is Alabama on the road going into Starksville, Mississippi to take on the Bulldogs, trying to take home the state championship of Mississippi this year by beating both of the majorly relevant SEC programs in the conference. They are a 14.5-point favorite, and I do like those odds in favor of Bama. First, some noteworthy injury news. Deontae Lawson, I know Nick Saban called him day to day. I think he's going to miss time. Nick Saban said it was a pretty good sprain, which in the context of injuries actually means it's a bad thing. It's like the whole you're negative or you're positive for stuff. It's the opposite of what it normally is when it comes to medical things. A pretty good ankle sprain does not mean the sprain is looking good. It means it was a pretty sizable one. So at least that's how I interpret all injury stuff. It was, I guess, a little bit vague from Saban. I don't think you'll see Deontae Lawson out there this week. Probably not for a few weeks, frankly. That means that the interior linebacker spots with Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell can have success off the edge. It'll be guys like Trezman Marshall and Jihaad Campbell. Here's what Nick Saban said, by the way, about the linebackers. We played most of this game last week with Jihaad playing and Trezman playing, so that'll be the way we go. Obviously, the depth at that position is going to become more critical for us if Deontae can't go, and we'll keep working with these guys and try to get them ready to go this week. The depth part is accurate. It's a little bit thin there if Bama isn't able to have those two pieces out there. It just leaves them thinner than what you would like to have at the inside linebackers. But Lawson's been playing great this year. Jihaad Campbell has talent. You know, Trezman Marshall is doing fine. This year's a transfer. Justin Jefferson, the JUCO guy, good to go. It's going to be Kendrick Blackshire. I don't think Sean Murphy, that's your freshman's ready. So it is a little bit thin there at linebacker. Just Campbell and Marshall, I think the Crimson Tide will be okay. If it gets even worse, that's a red flag. So what is your confidence level in those two? Marshall, Campbell playing inside linebacker for the Crimson Tide. It'll be today's pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know 1 to 10 is your scale. More things we got to discuss. You've got to figure out the snap issues here, folks. The snapping problems this Crimson Tide team has had when we are a month into the season is unacceptable. And if it's a cadence, a timing, whatever it is thing, it's going to be loud. I forget who's called them annoying cowbells, very accurate. They will be plenty loud because Mississippi State always needs more cowbell as opposed to, like winds. They need more cowbell instead. It's very strange. The cowbells are going to be loud. And I also will mention this part. The decision, when you've had snapping issues, to go shotgun from the one. What are we doing, guys? Here's what Nick Saban said. It was not smart on our part to do what we did, and then we get a bad snap after all that. I'm not defending anybody, but with better execution, we shouldn't have snapped the ball over the quarterback's head. And we've got to get on the same page with the snap count. I agree with you. At a time when it's 1st and 1 on the one, why do we need to be in the gun? Now, look, Bama might be on a 15-game win streak against Mississippi State. That's great, all that stuff. The mentioning of Nick Saban with the snap count, yes, we know why. There's something off on that front. Probably led to some of the false start issues this team has had. You can't beat yourself in this football game. And I am going to point this out. The fact that Nick Saban, not very subtly, was like, yeah, Tommy Rees made a bad call, is noteworthy. We're 4 games in. Saban was very high on Rees before the season, and he's already like, yeah, shouldn't have been in the shotgun on that play. Saban's right, of course, but to say it, that's another thing. That's a little bit, I don't know, anxiety-inducing for me when you're 4 games in, your head coach is like, yeah, not verbatim, but OC did bad. Like, that's what we're saying there. That's concerning. And you need your center to get his head on straight here. Yeah, you know what? First and go for one shotgun, I don't like it. Also, snap the football right, my guy. It ain't that hard. So will Seth McLaughlin figure it out this week? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comments section. Coming up next, I don't know, can we call him friend of the program? No, probably not. Good old Paul Finebaum has an idea on the inevitable Nick Saban replacement, although I do think we're still a ways away from that. We'll get into it here in a little bit. But first, today's show is made possible by our sportsbook partner. That is BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/TideBet and use promo code TIDE125 for a 125% deposit bonus. $100 down minimum gets you the 125% deposit bonus. I don't think the Bulldogs are that good. Now, I kind of like the under in this game. I think this could be one of those like 23-10-ish dogfights and not as much offense because Bama's defense has really begun to figure things out. And I don't love what Mississippi State's doing overall this year as a football team. I'm just not sold on them. 14.5 is a sizable-ish spread. Kind of like if you want to parlay it, how about Bama to cover and the under? It's a decent bet. You can bet me or fade me at BetUS. Chatsports.com/TideBet. Promo code TIDE125. All right, here's what good old Paul Finebaum had to say. Dan Lanning yesterday, both with his coaching on the field and comments at halftime after the game, has now emerged as one of the top coaches in the country. And the former Saban and Smart assistant may one be a successor at Alabama. All right, first of all, I don't think Saban's going to retire anytime soon. And I do consider Dan Lanning, whenever he calls it a career, a good name on that coaching hot board, right? Which we'll do it as a video whenever that happens, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. I will say, beating Colorado, who the Coach Prime stuff is an awesome story, don't get me wrong, and he's done a great job so far. Beating Colorado when you were how big of favorites again does not instantly make you great coach, top coach in college football. That is a reaction to the reactionary stuff we're already doing in college football. I think Lanning's a great coach. I think he's very good. How about you win a Pac-12 title here this season? How about you make the playoff before we start calling you, he's the next great coach? That is anointing because you beat the new anointed one after 3 games. That's jumping too far ahead. I did like this quote, however, from Dan Lanning. I also liked his pregame speech or whatever it was. Motivate your team how you need to. Remember, Kirby Smart was the guy who convinced Georgia no one believed in him. Here's what Lanning said, back to the topic, that they're ready to get better. They're hungry to get better. We're certainly not satisfied. This is one game. Now we're on to the next one. We got to focus on the next. There's a lot that we can improve on from that game. Fun, energetic on the field. But our guys have a standard to uphold. Look, especially mentioning the standard, kind of feels like a Saban quote. You can tell that's somebody who has spent time in the Saban Smart. I'm going to group those two together since I think they are the two best coaches right now in college football. Sorry, Dan Lanning, I guess. Tell those guys have spent some time in the same type of organization and room. It has been a rapid rise, by the way, for Dan Lanning, 2008 to 2010. If anyone can tell me where Park Hill South High School is in the comments section, congratulations, you win a fictional award. Pittsburgh, GA. Arizona State was a GA. Recruiting coordinator, Arizona State. DB's coach, Sam Houston State. And then it is an upgrade in job status. GA at Alabama normally means you're going to end up going places. Goes to Memphis, inside linebackers coach. Georgia outside linebackers coach. Jumps to D.C. quickly. After a year at Georgia, takes over as the defensive coordinator, and then becomes the Oregon head coach. He's an impressive 14-3 so far in his career. It's also college football where 14-3 does not carry the same weight as it would in the NFL. Things are just a little bit different from that perspective. So pulling out your crystal ball here, who would you hire whenever it comes around to be the Nick Saban replacement? It was maybe 2 years ago. It's like, it's Dabo. His stubborn refusal to engage in the transfer portal is not good for him. Now Dan Lanning's the fun name. And you kind of keep a mention on Coach Prime, right? He might hate working at Alabama, but it also works what he does. I mean, you saw how quickly turn around Colorado, right? I mean, Coach Prime with the best NFL developmental program in college football, that's intriguing. Who would you hire? DL for Dan Lanning, DS for Dabo Swinney, CP for Coach Prime Deion Sanders, or you can write in somebody else altogether.